Let us close our eyes, bow our heads, and be in communication with God and the spirits who we invite and welcome to tonight's session. We ask the mentor and guiding spirits to direct us all, both in communicating with our mouth and voice and with our ears to listen. And let us be encouraged to put into practice what it is we learn this evening. We welcome all the other spirits who are here to learn with us. And we humbly request permission to begin tonight's session. And so be it. Okay, now I will share my screen. Oh, wrong one. Let's try this again. There we go. Okay, question number 211. Where does the likeness of character come from, which so often exists among siblings, especially between twins? They are sympathetic spirits who are attracted by similar sentiments and who are happy to be together. And this really aligns with the principle of affinity for those that are inclined towards each other. Will typically have their spirits energetically intertwined, shall we say. And from that comes this likeness of character. Any other thoughts? Questions?
Not yet.
Okay, number 212. In children whose bodies were born joined and who have some of their organs in common, are there two spirits, that is, two souls? Yes, but their resemblance often makes them seem to you as though there is only one. Wow, what an amazing answer. So there are
I
two
think
two spirits
this,
who are
I don't know if
one.
this is talking about, you know, when you see twins saying that they have they
Very
can
different.
feel what the other is feeling, you know, like they
Yeah.
can feel each other's feelings. Maybe that has something to do. I mean, they have to kind of share, right? Some kind of the perispirit when they are in the mother's womb. I would say there is some kind of
Well, certainly
relation with that.
if if the physical body did not completely separate, then it
Oh
would
yeah,
seem
this one is talking about that, the conjoined twins. Okay, yeah.
correct. Then it would tend to make sense that the perispirit didn't completely separate either.
Right. Yeah. No, I was saying about in general the twins, but I missed that conjoined twins. So yeah,
Yes.
I would think so. Yeah.
Okay, 213. But if spirits incarnate as twins out of sympathy, where does the aversion come from that may sometimes be noted between them? It is not a rule that twins must be sympathetic spirits. Evil spirits may desire to struggle together on the stage of life. So it is interesting, I only know of one spiritist set of twins in the sense that their mother was is and was definitely in spiritus when these two girls were born, but they have sure grown up different to be different adults.
Uh-huh.
One is very much a practicing spiritus and understands the principles of for living, and the other one chooses not to.
I mean, which is fine if, you know,
Yeah,
don't necessarily have to, but depending on what kind of path is she choosing.
yeah. Oh, and the thing is, the one who's not spiritual, she's living a good life. That's not the point. She's just not equally inclined.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 214. What are we to think of the stories of children fighting in their mother's womb? A figure of speech, in order to portray their hatred as ingrained, it is figuratively set before birth. Humans usually do not make sufficient allowances for images that are intended to be merely poetic.
That's interesting, right? I think it goes back to the last question too. I
Yeah,
mean, what a better way for you um to like try to make pieces with someone than being your twin. You're gonna share basically your whole life, and if the other one says, if even if they don't have the feeling of sympathy, um, it is their best way to, I think one of the best ways, start talking about uh, when you incarnate in someone's mom or someone's children too, but this is very interesting, the
yeah,
fact that you can choose to have a twin just to try to pay off some debts, or maybe who knows, right?
right, right. Interesting about the agreement beforehand.
Right. You think the agreement always comes from both parts?
No, I have a hard time believing I would have even conceived, let alone agreed to the life that I've lived.
Yeah, more than
Okay, let's go on. 215. Where does the distinctive character that we observe in each culture come from? Like humans, spirits also form families through similarities in tendencies. The purity of such tendencies depends on how evolved the spirits are. Additionally, cultures are large families where sympathetic spirits congregate, and the tendency that leads members of these families to congregate is the source of the individual likenesses that exist within the distinctive character of each culture. Do you think that good and humane spirits would seek to live among unrefined and cruel people? No. Spirits are attracted to like-minded cultures, just as they are attracted to like-minded individuals. They look for their own good, and each group evolves at its own pace.
you imagine you are um mistakenly reincarnate on a place that you were not expecting.
Yeah, like to be, a normal sized male and be reincarnated into a pygmy tribe. That wouldn't make
Yeah,
sense.
but then it goes back to what we learned, right? It's not about what is comfortable to you, is what is necessary for your evolvement, for your progress. So it's not about what it is, right?
Yes, absolutely right. And more importantly, I think, is none of us should be predisposed or opinionated one way or the other. We should simply be more than willing to accept whatever our assignment is.
Absolutely.
Resistance is futile.
But it is what I think Carol said once, our family is the best laboratory for us because we can find all different kinds of similarities and differences. And even if we live in a world that there is no one else than our family, if we can um, live in harmony with our own family, I think we are doing a pretty good job, even if we don't have the outside world. You agree?
You know, the timing of your statement is amazing. This past weekend, I had both of my sons home for the first time in 3 years. And their mother and I observed them getting along better than we've ever seen.
See,
Yeah, that's what I said.
everything has its own time.
Yeah, what you just said makes such good sense.
My one thing, a question I have sometimes is that are all family members or close friends who are incarnated in the same life, do they always make the conscious decision to do that? I think often they do, but my question is, does their own karma, just by natural force, like being thrown into a current of a river, you're just kind of swept to where you most vibrate at, or what the connection is, almost kind of automatic. And I'm wondering if that ever happens as well. I don't know. I wonder.
That's a very good point, Jimmy. And I think one day we'll know the answer
Mm-hmm.
when we cross,
Mm-hmm.
but we're
I
gonna
mean,
forget when we come back.
yeah.
Well, you know, Samantha, I I've often asked myself, am I an old soul or a new soul? How many incarnations have I been through? And it is in this discussion that of course, I have no clue, but it is in this discussion that I begin to wonder if I have had the benefit of multiple lives, in the sense that what we were just speaking about, if I examine my circle of closest friends, and in particular, friends that I've known for 50 plus years, I am blessed to have a quantity. And you know what's astounding is that we are all of a similar character. After all these years, love and charity, our fellow man, concern for our fellow man. That's how we all live our lives. We are not, extreme in politics or any other activities that would draw us away from the Jesus-like model. And I wouldn't say that we are all consciously pursuing it in the same manner I am, But there's absolutely a consistency in a consciousness across this entire family. Well, how does that happen?
I
Well,
had read, I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
I had read in, well, this is in a Tibetan Buddhist context. There was a teacher that spoke about rebirth, and they seem to believe sometimes if someone's individual karma was so compelling or strong or whatever word I don't have, they almost went from death to almost real quick rebirth without, they were completely torn by their own karma. And boom, back in an infant's body again. That's pretty scary. That on occasion it can happen like that. If whatever karmic conditions were so strong.
Sure.
So a lot to think about.
Samantha, you got a thought?
My guess it was probably not under good circumstances that happened.
Wonderful. The text just takes us in so many unique ways. Okay, 216. In their new lives, do individuals retain any traces of their moral character from former lives? Yes, that can happen. However, as spirits evolve, they change, and their social position may change as well. If a master becomes a slave, his case will be very different, and it will be difficult for you to recognize it. Such a spirit is the same spirit in its various incarnations. Its manifestations can have certain likenesses from one to the next. However, these will be modified through the customs of its new position until a notable improvement has completely changed its character. For example, one who is proud and cruel can become humble and humane if it has repented. Going on, 217. During their different incarnations, do individuals retain any vestiges of their physical character from previous lives? The body is destroyed and the new one has no connection with the old. Nevertheless, the spirit is reflected in the body. Although the body is not matter, it is molded by the spirit's qualities, which impress it with a certain character that is mainly visible in the face. For this reason, the eyes have been rightly described as the mirror of the soul, which means that the face most particularly reflects the soul. Thus, it may be that individuals who are extremely unattractive physically can nevertheless project something pleasant if they are good, mindful, and human spirits. On the other hand, there are very attractive faces that awaken nothing in you. You might even find them repulsive. How can you believe that only perfect bodies house higher order spirits, when every day you encounter more individuals with different bodies? Although there may be no pronounced physical likeness, the similarity of tastes and tendencies can still pass on, what we call an air of familiarity. And now we get more.
That's interesting, huh?
Oh gosh, yes.
It's about the beauty of the soul. I think the eyes here were representing the soul, because when it says, let me see it on mine here. Yeah, I mean, on my, it's a little bit different than your reading, but it says, this is how hints of nobility and dignity might be found even under the humblest shell. So I think it's about what you carry on you, what are you taking with you, what you have to give, right? And that's all what it matters, not your physical beauty.
Let's read on. There's more. The body that clothes the soul in a new incarnation does not necessarily have any relation to the previous one, since it can proceed from a very different origin. It would therefore be absurd to conclude that a succession of lives is connected by a likeness that is strictly fortuitous. Nevertheless, a spirit's qualities almost always modify the organs that serve for its manifestation, impressing a distinctive stamp on the face and even on the general manner. Thus, inside the humblest envelope, one might find expressions of greatness and nobility of spirit, while under the garment of a wealthy person, one can often find vulgarity and dishonor. Some persons who have risen from the lowest positions acquire the habits and manners of high society with hardly any effort. They seem to have returned to their rightful element. But others, in spite of their birth and education, always feel out of place there. How can this fact be explained except as a reflection of what the spirit was in former lives? And I will reflect on a very popular TV series done in the 80s, I think, called Roots, which was the history of an African who came to the United States on a slave trip and went through multiple generations. And what was interesting as you watched the progression of the descendants is how they became more refined in each successive life, even though there was nothing in the way of education, nothing in the way of an environment by which they would develop that kind of dignity, personal dignity, where they live by a standard and they want their families to live by that standard. And that's what this family, through the generations, evolved into. Well, what we just read, I'm asking myself, well, there's the answer to how that happens.
Sorry, Mark, I was with mute.
That's
Thank you thank you for sharing that. It's always interesting how we can find so many similarities with, things during our that are part of our everyday lives when we read this book, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. I think it's not about, the deep in understanding, and I mean the study, yes, but it's all about us finding some ways to relate and easier ways for us to understand, because it's hard. I mean, it's not an easy book and there is a lot of comprehension involved on it. And the more we study, the more we're gonna have doubts and questions, I think.
Of course. Of
I
course.
think that's the end, right?
It is the end. I'm gonna stop sharing. Oh, I'll start third. Okay, Samantha, you want to do a closing prayer?
Yeah, I'll do the prayer. So right now I want to thank Mark for doing this presentation for us, for the good spirits that are always with us on Tuesdays. We feel their presence. We know their need for learning as well as ours. So we want to thank them for being with us. Thank them for bringing us peace, bringing us calm, to bring us the energy that we need to go through our week. All these tribulations that we are going through right now with COVID, all the uncertainties. So we definitely appreciate them being with us, in bringing us a little balsam to our hearts, bringing us peace, bringing us patience, so we can continue knowing that we will be here every Tuesday, no matter what, to try to use the gospel and use the Spirit's book in every day in our lives to help ease a little bit the uncertainty that is going on in our world right now. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Jim. And so be it.
Thank you, Samantha. Hey, pass on to everybody. Congratulations. I keep watching the Facebook posts of the Sunday morning feeding the homeless. It's wonderful.
Very nice, right? Yes,
Yes.
they're doing a very good job for sure. Thank you, Mark. I'll see you next Tuesday.
Okay, Samantha, take care.
Take care.